Hello, everyone, and welcome to InTHEknow360, show hosted by me, Annette, the warm-hearted warrior diva. This show gives you insights on the journey of high-achieving business owners and music artists who share with our audience the importance of building a strong community of like-minded individuals on the road to greater success. This evening show is a collaboration between In the Know 360 and Mr. Richard Blank. Yay! Richard is a dynamic CEO of Costa Rica's call center, a leading business processing outsourcing telemarketing company based in San Jose, Costa Rica. I want to go there one day. Richard's journey is nothing short of inspiring. At the millennium, he relocated to Costa Rica to revolutionize the call center industry, training over 500 entrepreneurs. Wow. Hopefully we can, you can train me too one day. Uh, for,
Definitely.
for over 12 years, Richard has been a driving force in the industry, known for his motivational speaking and expert training. He's not just a leader, but he is also plays a pivotal role in expanding Costa Rica's international business presence through strategic partnerships with organizations like Pacific Rim, Chamber of Commerce. He's also helped position Costa Rica on a global telecommunications map. In today's episode, we're going to dive deeper to see his remarkable career and his secret sauce behind his business. Yes. And also his vision about future BPO and a glimpse into his personal interests. Welcome, Mr. Blank.
Annette, I'm so happy to be with you and your audience. Quite an introduction. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, sir. Without further ado, I would like to begin the questions. No pressure, though. Number one, what inspired you to move to Costa Rica and your journey in the call center industry?
Well, I got to let your audience know you sent me all of the questions ahead of time, so I studied for this test. So I'm ready to go. Listen, your audience has to know how thorough you are. You did such a great job in that, so
Well,
I'm
thank
definitely
you.
prepared. I'm
Thank
definitely
you.
gonna. It's the one test I'm gonna pass.
All
All right,
right.
Costa Rica. It was built on momentum. I was already fluent in Spanish. I majored it in college. Two jobs I had prior to Costa Rica used Spanish. So I was able to acclimate. I had a friend here. He owned a call center. Wanted me to come down for a couple months and teach English, which was really a nice time out. Not going to believe this. I was sending out my resumes via fax machine. Shows you what time it was. Yeah, it was terrible back in August of 2000. So I had a chance at life. I got past some parents' guilt, decided to stay, learn the business from the inside out from my friend, not sea level. Fell in love and married the girl of my dreams here in Costa Rica. And when the stars became aligned in my mid 30s, I threw my hat in the ring and started this business. And here we are today, where we're almost celebrating our 17th year in that and
Wow.
150 strong. And I can't believe it happened. So the long shot from Philadelphia actually hit.
Wow, that's an amazing, wonderful story. It's like you said, the stars align, and here
Mm.
you are. And I think you're 30 years younger, so you you don't age.
Well, I
I have
tell
to
you
say.
what, you have a good discipline and routine with exercise, a half decent diet, and you get your rest, you might age gracefully. So I do appreciate that.
Well, you're very welcome, sir.
Oh, rock on.
All right. Well, with over 12 years of experience in training telemarketers, what do
Hmm.
you consider as the secret sauce behind your business?
Mine personally, it's the soft skills. I mean, my business is a little bit different. I'm from Philly, living in Costa Rica. I'm very hands-on. I collect pinball machines, so there's a game room, and a lot of my clients like the fact that I'm here and it's like a real sports coach and someone that's with the team.
Mm.
And I like that. And so I can gain the respect of the people here, have a first vision approach of what to do. But then again, you know, I focus on my soft skills training. Since English is their second language, I have a home court advantage. So I work on certain grammar. My vocabulary is key. We try to use diplomatic and strategic vocabulary and take out words such as help and use assist, guide, and lend a hand, not excuse me, Annette. For my clarification, was it ABC or 1, 2, 3? These are the sort of soft skills that people can do. Make meetings tentative so there's wiggle room. Ask people at their convenience, just to show that sort of empathy. And when you learn parameters and people have certain systems, you can kind of mesh and blend. And so I'm just trying people not to make a forced fit, not to hate their jobs so they burnt out or get frustrated, to appreciate the art of speech, because I think it's much more effective than texting and emails. And finally, just enjoy this luxury trade that we have here by, you know, producing business over a phone.
Wow. It's so amazing. I can literally visualize the beach and the warm breeze in the evening.
And the fruit's so good too. The exotic fruit and the fresh fruits and vegetables.
What's your favorite vegetable, by the way?
My favorite veggie, huh? Well, I kind of like broccoli.
Oh, okay.
It's fresh and it's healthy for you. But the fruit down here, some of them I can't even pronounce. Like I love guanabana. That's tasty. And cas and the mango and the papaya and the piña.
Wow.
And when you go to the farmer's market on Saturday, for about $20, you can stock your fridge and have a really good diet of extremely fresh food. And so a lot of it's a lifestyle, my friend. When you're getting really good, fresh stuff for a fraction of the cost, you have to do it. It's almost more expensive to eat bad and eat Doritos all day.
Wow, that is very ironical because in the U.S. it's, well, you know,
the opposite.
Yes.
Yeah, when I come home, I gain 10 pounds. You know what I get at home that I can't get here? Do you remember circus peanuts?
Oh, yes.
I love that stuff. After 3, you get sick of them. Of course I eat them when I come home. I look for it specifically.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Wow. That's like a dream made in heaven. I'm going to have to pivot back to Costa Rica at the end of our questionnaire.
Of course.
So, how does your motivational speaking style enhance your training programs?
It's an excellent question. It's almost like the teacher in school, the animated, engaged teacher. You might pass their class or be interested. So if I give a long lecture just for my own ego and just talk, you don't get any sort of effectiveness out of it. So if you're going to role play with me, I'm going to make you stand up. Why? Because you're in front of 20 people. Secondly, you're going to hold the script in your left hand and you're going to use the right hand for illustrators. Why? So you're more animated. I'm going to teach you to do more name drops and tie down questions. So you have checkpoints where, Annette, if things make sense or sounds good, right, Annette?
Yes.
And these are the sort of things that can allow people a certain flow in a conversation. And so I just want to triple up on their trainings in class. So if they're doing public speaking, standing up, using illustrators and going toe to toe with me, man, if they can handle that, imagine what they can do over the phone. Plus they earn the respect of the people that are around them. So a lot of it is foundation training. I just can't be the kind of guys that come in here, you grind and get rid of. No, this is a very good investment of individuals that will see the value in the sort of balance and direction that you're giving them, because, you know, in that making phone calls is not for the faint of heart. Yeah, you call 5 people a day, your buddies and stuff, but could you imagine making 300 calls a day, having to pitch over and over again? And so if you can master the introduction, if you can land 30 seconds or a minute's worth of time and properly make your case and get a positive reinforcement and just see where it's going, do not be surprised if you don't do very well in business and build a pipeline and make connections. And so it's a means to an end, my friend. Instead of texting, I would much prefer to make that phone call. So my
Mhm.
training is about those soft skills, those interpersonal skills, conflict management, things, certain characteristics that you can
Mhm.
apply outside of the office in order
Mm.
to maintain your relationships. And so it's dedicated practice. So it's not just
Yes.
at work or one time a month or at the gym. This is a luxury trade of the world. So
Mhm.
if you're a better speaker, more observant, and you're really practicing this craft, it's 24/7, and you just cannot help to get bigger and better if you invest in it.
I love it. I love it. Yes, you're speaking my language, actually.
Okay.
I love talking to people, and so that's why I started this talk show podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. I was like anticipating your energy, and so
Right? We were both looking forward to this all day long.
yay. Um, so what sets Costa Rica's call center apart from the BPO services?
No, I guess it's almost like a home cooked meal. Instead of grinding out 10,000 people and having so many supervisors and levels, it's exceptionally hands on. It's
Wow.
crafted, it's custom made. You get the CEO on the phone. Ooh, but who cares? A
Right.
lot of times people want the decision maker or somebody that has the leverage and influence that can move things forward quicker. And so even though I'm 150 strong, it might sound little to some
Mhm.
people, to the Goliaths, but to
Mhm.
those that are entrepreneurs starting off, they give their left arm to have 10 employees, let alone 150. And so I
Mm.
always remember what it was like 1 month prior to my first account.
Mhm.
Where am I going to go? How grateful would I be to even start this business? And so you can let it get to your head a little bit, be proud of yourself, but realize that winds change and things don't always last forever. And the only way to maintain something is to keep that fire going. And so I have a
Mm.
large attrition rate. The industry does. It's 300%. It's natural. It's not forced
Mhm.
attrition. So I don't throw people out the door or give them a walk of shame in that. We make people smile, not cry. But listen, if your boyfriend's working at Amazon or it's a better schedule or it's closer to your home or you're so talented, you might be making more money. That's cool. We work together and we got better together and then it's your time. But if you just peace out on me and then I got to call Annette on a Monday and say, yo, Billy just quit and he didn't tell me
Mhm.
why, but I tell you what separates me is character during chaos. At least there's no surprises. I give people expectations and I do preventative measures. So we get disappointed, not angry. But what separates me from other people, I guess I still believe in the art of speech. And I just don't want to grind out agents that read script. I really want people to engage and
Mm.
represent your company in the best light. And that's how I'm able to earn the business. Even though I may be a few dollars more than India and the Philippines, they see the merit and they
Mhm.
like the sort of commitment and the passion, as you see. And so
Yes.
I believe I've earned my dollar that way.
Yes. Very well said. I'm lost for words, Richard.
Well, you gave me the answer, so of course I practiced. What do you want, the cheat sheet? Yeah,
Right.
yeah, cheat sheet behind your thing in the math class. You know, they used to let you have the covers. Of
That
course.
is too funny.
Mhm.
It's an open book test tonight, by the way,
It's an
everyone.
open book test.
So so how have your partnerships with organizations like Pacific Rim Chamber of Commerce helped Costa Rica's international business appeal?
Interesting. When I was first starting out, I needed some alliances and some mentors. And Home Stoner, who was the chairman of the Pacific Rim Chamber, he gave me a lot of advice, a lot of direction, and allowed me to put his name on my website, showing the association. And also, it was kind of cool because people that are part of that organization, when they're traveling, they say,
Mhm.
"Hey, there's a guy in Costa Rica. Maybe I'll go knock on his door and just realize there's a safe place there for me, or at least a connection." And so it was very nice for introductions. It was very kind to show that people believed in me when my business started, to give
Mhm.
me their word. And so those sort of wind in your sails.
Hmm.
I mean, success is built on a million thank yous. And
Yes.
so, of course, through the Pacific Rim and Solo Telecom and teachers, coaches, best friends, and Annettes, those are the sort of people that get you to want to fight another day and be proud of yourself and put your shoulders back, and be strong.
Wow. You make me want to keep going, Richard.
I got plenty of time. Let's keep on going. You got it.
So, what are some of the common challenges businesses face with outsourcing? And how does the center that you have address them?
Really, it's about headquarters because their jobs are threatened. Not the
Mm.
head guy. I talked to that guy. That's where the contract is. But I'm speaking to Billy, Tommy, and Joey, the supervisors. They don't like me because
Mm.
my guys are better than they are. And they know it. They don't do QA. They don't do coaching.
Mm.
They're not engaged. They haven't hit the phones in a while. And so for me, I don't want an us versus them. I want a we. And I think anybody has a chance to earn that position if they're able to do the best job. And so when it comes to a positive escalation, which means that I'm going to compliment a supervisor and agent at headquarters, which could take away one of my head count, I'll definitely let the owner know. It's the best for him. Huh? But I got to make sure that we don't bring bad habits.
Mhm.
And we've had people that come visit us that have certain traditions of cursing on the floor, eating on the floor, certain sort of meetings, writing in bold cap. Certain things that could be misinterpreted, that get people to cry or quit or
Oh,
not
wow.
feel comfortable. But then again, I take 20 steps back. Show me everything first. Let me see I do a pre-launch checklist. Let me see the protocol. What are the scripts? What are the rebuttals? What's your list like? What's your QA like?
Mhm.
And if they don't have it, I don't judge.
Mhm.
Why? There was one time I started by myself in one room of my house. Who am I to judge? I think they're fantastic. And if I find certain areas where I can power up where that won't cost money, it's in my
Mhm.
infrastructure, my resources, or through other verticals or my experience, I could make a suggestion in regards to a tone, prospecting, email, voicemail template, what they're
Mhm.
doing. And sometimes, this one guy's just got a bad attitude. And I don't like him writing me a certain way or speaking to my people a certain way. So I'll
Mhm.
stand up for my people. Listen, I've turned away business sometimes because I've been on conference calls prior to a contract, and some people are exceptionally rude to my CTO or a supervisor. So then I'll let the evening or the call end, and then I'll call my guy and I'll say, listen, I just don't think it's a good fit. Because if
Mhm.
they're treating these people like this, could you only imagine?
Mhm.
And so what happens is that most people have misconceptions, what they see in Hollywood, or if
Yeah.
they think if they buy 1,000 numbers, write a script, make phone calls, there's visas and credit cards at the ready. No, my good friend, there is an art of speech. There is structure to it. And it's not the toughest work,
Mhm.
but you need to understand follow up and target dates and qualifying correctly so you're not turning in bad leads and wasting time.
Mhm.
And you got to be constantly coaching because we have the luxury of recorded calls. And I know you and I, as professional speakers, we from time to time listen to our podcast and we watch ourselves. And
Mhm.
we don't, the ego is fine. No, we're past that stage. We're looking to see if we caught something in the conversation or we overextended ourselves. All we're doing is polishing, or we're
Yeah.
saying it's almost like when you reread that letter 10 times, you could have written it a little bit differently. Or if it was 1 week later, you would have felt differently.
Right.
So we're just trying to be more attentive, courteous, diplomatic, okay? Because maybe more aware of emotion
Mhm.
or things that you found out later that you didn't see the signs on before you watch it again, and then you see. And so there's nothing better in that than dedicated practice. If anybody does waxing on and waxing off when school's over, you're not with your friends and no one's around, but it's your own private time. That's the true ace. That's the true
Mhm.
champ. That's the love for it. And you wonder why people can play the guitar and dance and paint and sing. Well, they had to practice sometime. And
Mhm.
most of the time is when you didn't see them. The only time you see them is when they're performing in front of you. You missed the 99 other hours that they were there and
Right.
feeling it. And so that's the beauty of life. That if you can see someone growing and blossoming and becoming like this incredible flower, and I get to see people having breakthroughs and cracking
Mhm.
codes on the phone or coming to knock on my door, not to kiss my butt, which they do anyway. They'll go, yo, guess what? What's up, Annette? I just got 5 sales today. And you're like, yeah. And so, that's you're wagging tail. We're happy. And when you can do that with your boss, because we're all excited, then you're not afraid of a boss anymore. Then you realize that you're an asset. And what you just did to me recharged my batteries. I mean, come on, it's synergy. It goes all around.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of me. That's not fair. Don't judge me on what your last boss did. We should be able to barare cuenta nueva. You should be able to start fresh. And so I give that benefit of the doubt. And so in my long-winded way, I hope I answered the question of what separates me from the others.
Oh, yes. Every answer is spectacular.
I appreciate it. You're making me blush.
I love it. Now that I know you like that circus peanuts, I have to keep that in my memory bank.
Oh, yeah, the best candy ever. And you know it. You know it, circus peanuts.
Everybody, remember, okay.
If you all want to start sending me some in Costa Rica, I love it. let your audience hook me up.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Wow. Again, every answer leaves me speechless. Let's see about the next answer. What are the advantages of nearshore call centers like yours over traditional offshore options?
Offshore, the East, India, Philippines. Okay. Beautiful English, excellent rates, call center culture, powerhouse, fine. Nearshore, I'm a mountain time zone. I'm like a 2-hour direct flight out of Miami. I can visit my mama in a few hours. It's easy. Plus, Spanish is going to be the most spoken language in the United States. So think about that compared to other languages. Our proximity to the United States, a lot of people have lived in the United States, have family there. We're very known for expats living here like myself, plus the tourism. They know what football is, cheese fries, what the shore means, things like that, compared to other cultures that have no idea. Plus, our infrastructure in Central America, we're the only democratic society here. We have companies such as Amazon, HP, Intel, and Oracle. The skill set here in Costa Rica is incredible. They have the most neutral of English accents. Our labor pool is big. I wish it was bigger, but it's big enough. And so they're considered specialists here. And also the culture, it's a pura vida, which means pure life. They're very much into nature. It's a very united culture. It's almost like going back into the 50s. People kiss on the cheek. Everyone knows Doña Carmen on the street. Everyone says hi. And it's very nice that way. It's old school, old fashioned. And I myself, by learning the language and just putting myself out there, making myself vulnerable, and being that expat, I've been really much embraced. And so my clients feel comfortable flying here compared to other countries. In addition to that, and I'm going to say it I'm going to try to do it in a diplomatic way, but some people may favor a Latino accent more than an Eastern, Indian, or Filipino accent, okay? Because some people might have those sort of feelings. And so I understand that, and I respect their decisions. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's one of those things. And so, for Costa Rica, we're a little bit more expensive. We are considered the Switzerland of Central America, so my prices are more. But if I can offset that price through merit, I can earn the business. But that's what pretty much separates us from the others. But pretty much the whole world can earn that seat.
Mhm.
It just depends on, and a lot of it has to do with nurture. You put somebody in an environment that's got bad air, bad light, and bad people, you get bad phone calls. But
Yeah.
I believe in vaulted ceilings and bay windows and fresh air and popcorn Fridays and things like that. Don't be surprised if you don't get a little bit more umph out of them, and you can tell that over the phone. And so um, when I close my eyes and I describe what my day is like here to the potential clients, they get it, because
Mhm.
most of them have never seen the inside of a call center before, and Hollywood just makes it look crazy. But if they can kind of see the organizational structure, they're willing to take the chance and invest in it.
Hmm. Wow. You made some great points. And the is it the way they articulate, or I don't want to be presumptuous, but the tonality, I guess, from that purview of a group of folks that with their call center.
Of course. The tonality, I always say with your tone of voice, you should make it empathetic and confident.
Mhm.
You're just talking about a slight accent, but I
Right.
don't want someone to be aggressive nor passive.
Mm.
They should be assertive, at least a 45-degree angle for distance.
Right.
And so certain cultures can be very aggressive and others can be extremely passive. So it's depending on what sort of positions you want. I believe in right bus, right seat. So as I say, the Filipinos are extremely empathetic. They're phenomenal in regards to customer support. Indian call centers are prime for tech level 1 to level 5 support. Brilliant. And even customer support. It's just sometimes they might get the bad rap in regards to outbound prospecting because of their accent. But excuse me, if somebody has an accent and they're bilingual, it bears the mark of higher education. An accent's like a beauty mark. So
Mhm.
I'd love to see you try to even attempt to speak their languages at the level that they do.
Right.
And so anybody that's invested the time to learn a second language, my goodness, it's a huge respect. But
Mhm.
they're specialists. And so for us in Central America, maybe it's more for the Latino market. Once again, knowing the United States, the fact that we're so close, look at the weather, look at the lifestyle, the surfing, the zip lining, the whitewater raft. There's so much to talk about. And so it gives it a certain vibe. It's a nice groove. And also, they have leverage. The agents, there's so many jobs here in call centers that me today, you tomorrow, they could just leave and get hired the next day. So it's the places where they're pressured to make the most money, or a certain industry, or to, like in India and the Philippines, they got to work the midnight shift to handle the United States. Look at that sort of lifestyle. I know it's a certain segment of society, but could you imagine your world being
Mm.
upside down like that? And there's sacrifices that need to be made. And so at
Yeah.
least in Costa Rica, they can do Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I mean, it's easy like that. And they can work for HP and Intel and Amazon and Teleperformance and Sykes and Convergys and Concentrics and all these big, bulky seniors on the football team. You know, I mean, my goodness, listen to these powerhouses of 10,000 people each. One little 150. But I tell you what, Annette, hey, first, they're not on your podcast. Second, they don't know everybody's name. They
Right.
probably don't even wear suits. So all I need is a few. All I need is a few people that share my same vision. And I can build
Mm.
a company. I don't need the 10,000. I'd rather have my
Right.
150 strong. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I totally agree with you. You know, everyone's talking about scaling, right? 10x, 20x, 50x, whatever X. But I believe in quality versus quantity. So I
I'd
am.
love to be a 10,000 agent. Are you kidding? But maybe just by my cage, my wingspan in nature, I only grew that much. I don't know why, but listen, I would have loved to have been 100,000 people. Could you imagine? But I still would have tried to walk the rows anyway. If I didn't know your name, I'd call you, hey, what's up, champ? What's up, buddy? Everyone's my buddy, you know, unless you have a name tag, then I can start doing it. But you know what it is, though? You start getting distance because, you know, Jeff Bezos is incredible and he's got such an influence here. And I know he's probably been to Costa Rica and been at the centers. But when you have so many employees all over the world, and even if you go visit the best you can, you might get the wave or remember that guy from last year, but it's tough for them. And they try their best. And it's almost like the rock star that meets their fan that knows them for 1,000 hours, but you only meet them for 1 minute. They can't expect the same sort of catch. You're moving too fast. You have them memorized. They're just meeting you. And they have so much little time to give per person. And so, you know, for me, I have the luxury of 3 minutes with someone, while most people don't. And so I guess for my own personal fulfillment, I got more out of it in that way, but financially could have been differently where I knew people less but made more money. But either way, I guess it was a healthy balance.
Well, you never know. You never know.
Maybe after this podcast, I'll get a couple more seats.
That's right.
I'm only kidding. I'm not selling my call center. Most people hate telemarketers.
I love it. I love it. Your inspiration is your energy and your inspiration is phenomenal. And so, irregardless of the numbers, right? I think that you have a true gift, your heart. Your heart is, I can see it through the screen, your energy and everything. So I applaud you for everything you do. I'm speechless again. On to the next question.
To show love full circle. Isn't that the goal of the show?
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. I qualified.
Exactly. So, how does your background in communication and Spanish contribute to the success of your operations?
That's an interesting question. In college, I had the luxury of taking a very easy major. Well, that was my minor. Communication Spanish was my major. Those classes were fun. Public speaking, rhetoric, conflict management. But the one thing that hit me the most was these controlled studies in focused environments. You're reading books written in like 1963, right? So learning about these guys back in the day that are studying people in regards to action, reaction, emotion, and expression reading. And so for me, if things are repetitive here, like these phone calls, and we get to disposition them, we have KPIs, we can study them, you can also uncover patterns. And so I was able to apply some of the theories that I learned in college to a communication environment here where it's controlled, focused, and I can study certain things. And I was able to expand talk time, reduce the sort of rabbit holes by being able to repeat questions to people, checkpointing it and moving it forward. You were mentioning adjustments of tone, certain soft skills. And you know what my favorite thing was? It was the positive escalation is really just complimenting the gatekeeper prior to the transfer, because that just adds such energy and momentum. And so I don't want to teach people to lie. That's not right. And manipulation is not fun. You can't live with yourself on that. And I don't like forcing hands or twisting arms. It's a wise person once said, Annette, from an educated point of view, make a decision. Let me give you analogy here. It's like me coming out with a dessert tray. They're all delicious. I'm going to explain each one, and I'm going to stand back because I know you like one. And if you're a good girl, order two, you know? And I know I've done my job, and each one got its proper presentation. And if I'm confident enough to speak clearly, slowly, and choose descriptive, colorful vocabulary, then chances are, Annette, you're going to pay attention to me in your attention span periods of 30 seconds.
Right.
To where I can, instead of 10 minutes, it's 20, 30-second Annette calls. That's all. And I'm going to make sure that we have checkpoints, closing doors, moving forward. And I'd rather have you give me a solid 4 minutes than a shaky 10. I want romantic deaths on the phone where you're doing everything perfect until you don't qualify anymore. things happen that way. And
Mm.
so for me with communication, I love the art of speech. And texting, it's convenient, and AI and all this stuff. But the fact that I get to make arguments in regards to speech today when everyone could do it, what makes me so special. But the fact that I get to work with English second language, we use a thesaurus, we get excited over new vocabulary, we practice using really congruence where your audio matches the visual. And I'm really trying to get them to focus on image streaming.
Hmm.
Because if you think about the master communicator, Helen Keller, she
Yes.
lost her hearing and her sight. So her taste, touch, and smell expanded. She had the breakthrough of communication, created a language, was incredible. In fact, the world needed to meet her because she was shining. And so with all due respect to the master communicator, we have the opposite. We
Right.
lose the taste, touch, and smell, which means that our hearing should be expanded
Mhm.
and that our vocabulary should be so beautiful that the imagination of the book is better than the movie. And I should capture this. It's the kind of thing that's engagement, especially if you're translating in your head like my Costa Ricans to English. So they're even more focused and engaged. It's an incredible anchoring. I mean, you're just really grabbing these rocks and climbing the wall. And most people are thinking ahead or worried about what they did. You know, that little thing.
Oh,
But if
yeah.
you can stay in the now and really just work that middle, not the intro or the conclusion, but the body of the call.
Right.
Young lady, you're leading the dance.
Mm.
And don't be surprised, once again, instead of making 100 calls a day, now you're only making 60. Yeah, but your talk time increased and you just got 5 referrals. So stop yelling at me. You have these supervisors that are putting pressure on you. But when you commission an artist, you don't get a painting that's as well as when someone does it from the heart or doesn't look at the clock when they're on the phone with Annette and let it roll that way. And so sometimes you got to put your arms out and tell your supervisors or people around you, the negative Nancys, the Debbie Downers, slow down and calm down, right? Stop grilling because you're ruining my groove at the moment. I'm not saying I'm better or worse than anybody, but I'm trying to find focus.
Right.
And maybe take a break for a second. But that's why if you asked me where I'd want to sit in a calling room or in a business environment, I want the one that's in the corner. So I'm not distracted. I can put things on the wall. There's time for fun and yucking around on break and lunch before and after work. But when I'm on the floor, the Coliseum floor, I'm the warrior. I'm completely focused. There are certain periods of time when I was telemarketing, after 2 hours, you take your breaks and stuff, I would snap out and go, what did I just do for 2 hours? And then you just look at your numbers and you realize, because you get, it's like a runner's high. You start not noticing things. It's the same thing over and over again. Every city looks the same.
Oh.
And so you just get into such a groove.
Right.
It's a good thing, but a bad thing because you're just reproducing compared to making it authentic. And so that's the rebalancing again. Does this make sense? That you ever have to reread pages or rewind a movie because your mind starts wandering, you start thinking about something? That's not good. That's not good because you're going to miss a certain some or the one nugget in that you needed in order to close that deal.
Well, I'll tell you what, you think you watched the entire movie, for instance, and then you go back to watch it a second time and maybe even a third time, and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't even know Elon Musk was in the Iron Man movie. I forget the first one or second. I think it was the second one. I'm like, that's Elon Musk.
Where were you?
I don't know.
We need checkpoints. We really do. Because if not, we're going to lose some time. That's all.
Right.
Does it sound normal? Well, if you practice it enough, yes. But if not, you're kind of like time outing like we do with questions and move forward. But yes, there are ways to control that to ensure that at least 9 out of 10 you got.
I love it. Yeah, you're definitely keeping me on my toes tonight, Richard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay. So Can you share with us any recent innovations or technologies that your center has adopted?
Absolutely. Predictive dialer. It's been around, but you have manual dialing, you have smart dialing, which is like click to dial. Then you have a predictive dialer. Do you know what that is, Annette?
Is that like the random calls that people
Well,
make?
that's like a robocall, but a
Oh,
predictive
sorry.
dialer is kind of like a batting cage or a machine gun. Let's just say, for an
Ah,
example, we're going to be making phone calls with InTHEknow360, right?
okay.
We're going to call prospective clients. You would give me at least 4,000 numbers. I
Okay.
would load it into a program. It
Mhm.
would populate every lead that comes up. But here's the skins. Depending on your talk time, you have 2 to 6 lines dialing at one time, depending on a drop call ratio. My
Wow.
point being is, if you click a green button and you're in ready status, you'll have a call come in. There is no latency. There's nothing, except if you're wrapping it up or putting in notes and putting yourself in ready status. But if you're in ready status, you could literally be speaking for 60 minutes in an hour. So you're avoiding any sort of fax machines, IVRs, misdials,
Wow.
latency, uh, getting tired. And so you need to build up to it. But the
Mhm.
production is incredible because all the information comes up. You say, hey, Annette, how you doing? In the know, and you're going for it, and you can do drop downs for dispositions. You can put in notes, you can set callbacks and stuff. So it made
Mm.
the work more than efficient and effective. I love it. It carried most of the weight for me. It
Wow.
made it 10 times easier to do this because there's fatigue when you're dialing
Yeah.
hundreds of calls a day. And then secondly, with just having the calls recorded and having the QA break it down for us. I mean,
Mhm.
it's an incredible way to be able to train somebody with their own voice. And I have
Yeah.
tens of thousands of phone calls of an individual that has worked for years here. So you can see the progression, you can see the good and the bad, the happy and the sad. So that sort of technology is good. I mean, look at the headsets with the noise cancellation. You can barely hear
Yeah.
anything now, if anything. And then look at the way that the computers are fast. Look at the sort of programs that they have. There's plug and play in regards to the CPU, the client, where you're able to, excuse me, on the CRM. So when you're updating the information for the client, faster, easier. There's
Yeah.
defaults, so you don't put in bad things. And so it's really just the human touch along the way to make
Yeah.
sure that it's good.
Right.
And but I tell you, the one thing that I don't like, what happened with COVID was my business was saved because
Mhm.
I saw the technology to send people home and work from home.
Yeah.
I was very thankful for that. On the flip side, it ruined any sort of synergy or high
Wow.
school feel that we had. Best
Yeah.
friends, people falling in love by the Pac-Man machine. That's gone.
Mm.
Long gone. And this new generation doesn't want to come into work. And do I blame them? No, because of money, time, convenience. They can work at
Right.
home. As long as they get the job done, that's great. But I don't know you anymore. I don't even know you. I don't even think I've met some of the people where we've hired them virtually, worked from home. I could walk past them in the mall and not even know who they are. That's
Wow.
terrible. That's not good for me because I don't need to have you schlep into the office every day. But if we're going to work together, know me for one day or a week at least, and then I'll let you go home. But it is completely destroyed any
Oh,
sort of culture that we used to have, which was really fun. It was like art. It's like the movie Fame, because all these people are just on the phone and being creative and high-fiving. Hey, try this thing. And everyone's
yeah.
excited because
Yeah.
they're speaking. They're
Mm.
artists. That's all gone now. Now they're
Yeah.
doing it all at home by themselves. And I believe that they're about 80% proficient that way. They're doing their job, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have the warm fuzzies like it used to have when they were here and feeding off of energy.
Mm. That is so true. Um, yeah, COVID was a very trying time. Uh, the whole reason why I even started this talk show and podcast is from my deployments when I was in the military. COVID deployments. And so I was like, hey, it's lonely. I need to reach out and talk to somebody. And here you are, Richard.
I have some follow-up questions. Where did you serve?
I was in the Army prior to the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps. Nobody really knew about us until COVID hit.
Yeah.
And so our Surgeon General taught us how to wear the mask and whatnot. But my last deployment was at the airport, Dulles Airport here in Virginia. And so we were helping the Afghanistan refugees come through. And then I had to do OJT, on the job training, for those that don't know the acronym, basically swabbing noses and being a lab tech at the same time. I think I don't know how many noses I swabbed those few days. But yeah, it was very interesting.
And what
And
was your rank?
oh, I'm a lieutenant commander.
Oh, rock on, Lieutenant Commander Annette. Oh, really?
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you for your service. Hey, check it out. At the end of our phone calls, we use the military alphabet, and my odds hit because a lot of the times people have served. And so if I'm doing, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, you guys
Okay.
love that stuff. So instead of
Oh
the call
yeah.
ending, we talk about your service and what you've done and swiping noses and things like that. And but thank you so much. I always believe in chivalry, and you are protecting us and being brave and stepping up to the plate. And grandfather, uncle, and father served in the Army as
Oh
well.
wow.
World War II and post Korea. And so it's in our
Wow.
blood too.
Well, thank you for their service. Yes. Wow. Yeah. And so this gave me an outlet. So I definitely understand the ramifications that COVID had.
Definitely.
Okay, on to brighter things.
Yeah.
What trends do you see in the BOP? Oh, excuse me, I'm thinking of Bureau of Prisons. Oh, that's another deployment I did. BPO industry, and how has Costa Rica's call center in preparing for them? How did they prepare for them?
No, the change I see, it's more AI, it's automation,
Okay.
which means we're going to lose some seats, but
Mm,
it's going to be more proficient. It's going to gather better, make it easier for us. But it is changing.
okay.
And, I think a lot of people now prefer non-voice support. So it's kind of like the automated teller machine. Instead of going into the bank, a lot of people will fill out the form, speak to a chat, send in an email to a support team, and get their service back. And, what can you do? I look at it like this. Remember the buggy whip, industrial revolution, television, people feared it. Could be taking away jobs, or they just don't want to change. I accept the change. I respect the run that I had. I know it was at a certain time period. It wasn't in the beginning. It was more towards the end of what this thing was, before people started getting cell phones and accepting calls in their homes. And it's different now. And I guess the best thing you can do is kind of like Anthony Quinn in Zorba the Greek, just put your arms out and start dancing while your ship is sinking. So what I can really do is just adjust accordingly. And if I am still able to fulfill needs of clients, if it still makes financial sense for me, do I still want to do it in that day? Then we do it. But until that time comes, I see where it's going, and it's almost like a young man's game. It's their time now. But the one thing they cannot take out completely is the empathetic interaction that people have. Take it to the 10-yard line, but at least
Right.
have the human interaction to close the deal, retain the client, get the upsell, the referral. Don't make it 100% computers, because if your dog runs away and you want to call a hotline, I'd rather speak to someone than a computer, because they'll be
Right.
empathetic towards me on something like that. So, but that's okay. If that's where it is, then so be it. But if that's what it is, then I'll embrace it and just do the best I can.
You know, I have to say, I've interviewed a bunch of music artists and voice actors, by the way. And back in the day, I don't know if you remember, but they would go out to gas stations and sell these CDs, right? For like,
Oh, yeah.
or don't, or hey, whatever you want to purchase it for instance, $10, $15, what have you. Now, Spotify and these other streaming platforms have decreased even less than a penny per stream for their music, which is very discouraging to our indie artists. But I believe, this is just me, I believe that technology, even though AI is coming into fruition and the autonomous vehicles, EV, etc., I still think that the human touch is needed because, for instance, I I'm old school, so I have my notepad right here. I still write notes, copious notes on a notepad because we never know if, God forbid something happens to the internet, then we're back to writing on paper, pen and paper, if one can still write. So that's my take on it. You always have to make sure that you have a bunker. No, hopefully not, but hopefully we don't have to go there. But I believe that you still have to have that, A, B, C, D, all the way through Z, just in case, a just in case method. But anyway, I kind of belabored that and swayed to the whole indie artist thing and voice actors, which is really interesting. If you have
I
any,
hope they don't lose their love for it, though. I understand they're not making the money today. Imagine if none of them produced the music anymore. They first started with the love,
right?
learning it, and it's a shame because these artists deserve praise and fortune, but maybe in one aspect it is healthy, because if you do take the financial element almost completely out of it, they have no choice but then to put that somewhere else, that feeling and that energy. And it could even be more creative that way, because if you're thinking of money, you're going to make terrible decisions. You're also going to sell yourself out
Right.
for money. And maybe in the beginning of business, I took certain accounts that I shouldn't have. It's not the ethical side. It's the client that yells at me before my coffee, or
Right.
is not realistic, or just doesn't listen, or is just so demanding. Sometimes the clients aren't worth it. They could ruin your day, and it's not fun to have someone ruin your weekend or to yell at you. That's unnecessary. And so maybe when they're older, they'll realize that they had to make a half moon around it. You just can't keep going straight.
Yeah.
And it might force them to go play live more, or
Right.
as you say, old school, in the parking lot, selling your CDs, which will
Yeah.
make you $5 or $10. You're making a good point. I'm willing to travel an extra distance to go to the home cooked family restaurant where I know Eduardo and Sophia,
Right.
and they're the greatest people in the world. And it's my pleasure to give them whatever it is. And it's just a nice thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think people are going to do that for each other these days, like good neighbors used to, that used to share sugar or watch each other's kids. I think if you see that artist, you're going to want to stop your car and support them. Or if that individual is playing in the plaza or the square, their violin, their guitar,
Yes.
singing or dancing, you will see that and go, rock on. Look at that.
Right.
Here's $10.
Yeah.
You keep going. So they might even be making more. Then I hire you to come work my party at the house.
Right.
And then you just start doing it that way. So, well, good for them.
Yeah.
Let's not make it easy. Let's not make it difficult, but let's make it to where it was the old school way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yes. I just love all the stories that come through here at InTHEknow360, showing love full circle. Okay. So what advice do you have for businesses, even indie artists, voice actors, because obviously you're in the realm of communication, and in looking to, like, for instance, outsource their products or services, and choosing like the right partners, such as your call center? Hint, hint.
I appreciate that. In regards to entrepreneurs, the first thing they should do is not be hard on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. But then again, if you want to compare yourself to your friends that are much more successful, that's fine. But as I say, you want to be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't press contracts and those sort of commitments. When people call me, it's first, I'm complimented by it. And secondly, they're talking a topic I like, as long as they don't abuse time or they pick my brain to compete compared to being a client. And I'm cool with that. It could be a guy that's selling real estate out of his house, wants to hire one person because he doesn't have the time. I can hear his wife yelling in the other room. So it's my pleasure to go through a script and to teach them a proper business composition letter and explain about pipelines and what to do and stuff, because I like paying it forward. There was always that first job you got or the teacher that gave you the second chance. Or even I myself, when I got my first account back in February of 2008, I was on cloud nine.
Wow.
And so you can hear it in their voice. And they keep saying, is this going to cost me money? Of course, it's not going to cost you anything. You're great, Billy. Let me just answer 5 more questions for you. And I'm okay with that because, you know, if you're at this stage of life where you have enough, how many dinners can you eat? And gold its jewels lose its luster. There's a certain thing where you really do want to pay it forward in a certain way. I can't volunteer all of my time, but I'm willing to play healthy odds. And if it's me giving 1 or 2 or 3 slices of a pizza, have you actually come back and buy a pizza, I'm willing to do that. It's okay. I mean, I'm not going to give you the little toothpick thing in the mall. It's not even food. Is there even food on this? I'll give you a full slice. You like it, I'll give you a second slice. If you really like it, come on, I'll give you a third slice. If you're cool about it, you buy. If not, then we're good. But I know the game. You show good faith in the beginning. You stand behind what you have. Be confident enough in your $5 that you'll make it back. And if you do things like that, you separate yourself from 99 of the other people. And then secondly, you'll lose the 10%, but 90 will come back. And they'll go, this is the greatest guy ever. I mean, look how he treated us the first time he was here. And so that sort of trajectory gives you incredible distance. Penny wise, pound foolish. Be smart with your time. Credit your clients if you have to. If you spilled the beer, then pay for it and buy another one. Don't charge them for it. And if you had a bad hire, you pay for the kid for the one day. He was terrible. Don't charge the client on that. And, you know, if it takes you going over something for a couple more hours to ensure that the script is right, that's fine. And stop thanking me for my time. That's my commitment for you. This is what we're doing here. And so I just want to make sure that we're even and not someone is pushing.
Right.
And it's much better that way. You know, I can sleep well at night. And when I put my head on the pillow, I can rest. Because the last thing you want is knowing that I was mean to Annette. I yelled at her. I didn't follow up on the email, or you don't want things like that. I mean, just remember, carpe diem. Tomorrow is not granted for anybody. So I'm not trying to sound cliche-ish, but be the real person, the right person. Be raw.
Right.
Correct. And it's okay. You're not going to bat 1,000 on that, but you're also going to earn the respect of people because they're going to see your character during chaos. They're going to realize you really did the right thing. You wiped your feet. You asked permission. You said thank you. And guess what? You were invited back. And that's what I've learned from my grandparents. And so those are the sort of business ethics and my direction and my focus when I start building relationships with people. I'm not going to compete against the flash and the bells and the whistles. They don't last. It's that individual that's so authentic that they can be consistent. And that's what usually gets us to win in the end.
Wow. Yeah, I love your answers. Obviously,
Fun,
you
right?
are. Yeah. Obviously, this is an open book test, so you get 5 points for that answer, sir. On to the next one. I love Jeopardy. If you could do it all over again, right? Would you change anything about your journey or approach in your business?
Yes. I
Okay.
made a huge mistake a couple times. I didn't promote the right people, and I brought in people from the outside in certain positions that were not smart. Now, IT specialists in accounting and law, fine, but you can't really bring in supervisors from the outside. They just won't earn the respect of the people,
Mm,
especially those that earn their stripes prior. They're going to bring in bad habits. They're going to have an attitude. It's just not going to work. And so I've also not overlooked somebody, but I know I made the wrong decisions on certain promotions. But here's the best part. I told you that sometimes people move on. And so some of these individuals that we had a great relationship, but they moved on. When I had the chance to bump into them a couple of years down the road, besides the beautiful greetings again and well wishes, I had to let go some weight and not have a heavy heart. So I would tell these individuals that you were incredible. I'll name 15 things I remember about them, so I'm really legit. And then I'll say, I made a huge mistake. You should have been promoted. I should have moved you to this account. I should have adjusted your schedule for you because of this or that. And I truly apologize. And then they'll go, Richard, it's cool. Don't worry about it. I go, well, it's not like I thought about it every day, but now that I see you, I want to make sure that I do the right thing. And I know you were thinking too, because we spoke about it 5 years ago, but let's make it right. And I'll do it in front of their friends or if their mom's there, and I will let the mom know how amazing they were. And what does that do? Well, they're not going to come back and work for me again. That time has passed. But it takes a beautiful memory relationship, and you just added extra cheese on that one and extra sauce and whipped cream. And
mm,
so you'll get a follow-up email or text and saying, that was beautiful. You're the greatest. Can't wait to see you again. And you made nice again. You did it
yeah.
again. And you said the right thing again. And so that's your reputation, being the big boy and the big girl and saying you were sorry or you made the right or wrong decision and that you're an incredible person. And when I think of you, I only think of nice things about you.
Mm,
And I've had many opportunities to do the right thing because I've hired thousands.
right.
And I've liked to once again finish what was started that needed that final chapter.
Mm, wow. That is very interesting. So your approach, right? Because a lot of times when you say you're working at this agency for a decade, like over a
Yeah.
decade, and you know you're qualified for the position, you go up and apply for it, you didn't get it, they hire someone from the outside. Do you know what the rhyme or reason is for that? For usually why the management does that type of approach?
Yes, I have to ask a couple questions. I mean, are you coming to work on time? Are you hitting your numbers? Do you have an attitude? Are you positive? Are you capable of standing up and coaching and leading people? Do you have enough guts to tell someone the good and the bad and the happy and the sad? And, if I take you off the phone, if you're producing on the phone, I take you off the phone, are you able to duplicate that? Or am I
Mhm.
getting the best thing of having you on the phone and having people sitting around you so they can grow there? But what about the money? If that's about the money, I can offset that and pay you more if we can have you coaching. Because okay, there's two things we can look at here. Are you making more money? Are you being
Mhm.
passed up because of that? Well, if that's the situation, but I realize you'll make the company more money by expanding me that way, I'll give you that money. Just show me those metrics and I'll speak to the client or out of my pocket. I got you covered. But if it's you saying I'm getting burnt out on the phone, I'd like to learn admin, I'd like to administer, I'd like to do training and sit in on meetings. Well, that's a different thing. Then you're capable of doing that. Do you take notes? Do you know meeting minutes? How is your grammar and extended vocabulary? Are you able to speak to the clients and not
Mhm.
embarrass us? Are you able to understand what the client is asking for and put it in action plan? So some people might have the excitement and encouragement for it, but they can't handle it. I mean, either the pressure or they miss certain things in the notes, or they get the call back the client, or they CC other people in emails, and and so it's not like they haven't tried. I love them to death, but right bus, right seat. And that, I mean, sometimes it's just not a good fit.
True.
But you got to come tell me. Don't just start quitting on me or having a bad attitude or getting pissed off. If something is going on, please knock on my door and say, listen, I'd like this promotion, or I think I earned this sort of money, but I want to stay here because I can do this. And so I'm open-minded for everything. I don't want you to leave.
Right.
But also be realistic, kiddo, because if you got a terrible attitude and you're showing up late all the time, these 15 agents aren't going to respect you.
Right.
And they're going to look at me funny because I didn't, promote the 18-year-old kid who's the top producer and everyone loves him. And so I don't like seniority. I like you being with me for a while, but listen, if you're with me for 10 years, you should be a supervisor by now. But I do have some people that prefer to be on the phone because either A, they're making the most money, B, they don't want to have to deal with people.
True.
And I think those gunners are just fine. I leave them alone. But I don't like when people on their resumes will say, what do you want to be with the company? I want to be a supervisor. I want to do I don't even know you. And at least show up for a week.
Gotta go to boot camp.
I'll even consider. But there's absolutely no way that I would hand you the keys and let you start off that way. And it's the sort of thing. The best leaders are the ones that are the most humble. They're the ones that let everybody eat first, or they open the door and let everyone walk in first. Or how about this? People that are talking to people from other departments. What are you talking about? Joey's over there talking to the movies and music department. He's on the travel campaign. He's friends with like everybody. That's a supervisor. Everyone loves him. He's not afraid. He doesn't just isolate himself.
Right.
Kid shows up a half an hour early every day. Why? I don't know. He's always here early. He never misses work. And he looks really awake at 6:30 in the morning. What's going on with you? But you have some people that when they tell you their stories of living in a certain home or the pressures they have, these are the cats that get up real early and they know they got to do above and beyond the average in order to get. And I notice these things. I also notice the people that say hello to me. And that's the old school leadership. I mean, you can put up numbers all you want. That's fine. But I want someone that can extend empathy, have ice cream with you, know the right thing to say at the correct time so you don't quit. And the ones where if I'm not around can take charge. I'm not here. You can pull the guy off the phone for 10 minutes and talk to him. It's okay. I just want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. And, but leadership is done not just by sacrifice. It's as I'm mentioning, the dedicated practice. It's the individual that learns 20 new vocabulary words a day just to make their phone calls sound better. Or how about this? They take the liberty of looking up a website when they're on the phone with you. Yeah. So they see what you look like or where you live and stuff. I like people that are proactive. I like the people that crack codes. If you're doing and if you're standing when pitching, come on, you're already a supervisor. Right. And that just don't tell him, unless the kid quits, we're going to promote him. It's literally just praying to God that he doesn't mess up and he's doing everything right. And I love him. He's a perfect squire to a knight. He's too good to be true. Where did you come from? And so I don't want to spook the kitty. I don't want to let him know I'm on to him. But you and I are watching him. And then one day, there's a phone call with a client. And I say, Annette, why don't you come into this conference call today? And it's on speaker. And I go, hey, Jimmy, meet Annette. Oh, I heard about you, Annette. I heard you're the one that got 5 leads last week. And you speak directly to the client. Unscripted. Go for it. Why? Because I'm comfortable with my people. You're not going to curse. You're not going to say something stupid. But you're going to get a chance to talk to the client and let them know that you've been making 100 calls a day. And Mrs. Jones, did you get that account? Yeah, I love that call. And so what happens then? Then you go downstairs and you spread that sunshine and love to not me. You go down to the 20 people. You tell the story and you You say what's happening. And so I strategically put in the right people at the right places. So they're the ones that speak for me. And then those are the leaders.
Mm.
Hmm. Those are my leaders. It's organic. It's nurtured. It's Richard kindergarten tests, the ones that anybody can pass. It's just who goes to the green rug first. You know, I mean, when you're outside playing, who grabs the big wheel? You know, who goes to the fun place? Those are the people that I want. Yes.
I love it. Yeah, definitely. Sharing is caring. And the more you know. Uh, so outside of work, what
Yes.
hobbies or interests do you enjoy? I saw that you were, doing your boxing game there. Uh, any local hobbies activities that you picked up in Costa Rica?
Of course. I like to play golf. I love archery, of course. And to travel the country, to go into the rainforests and find waterfalls, and to climb mountains and go to the beautiful beaches and just
Wow.
explore. But my daily routine, I do about 2 hours in the morning in the gym. I like to wash my convertible on Sundays. And I'm an avid collector of vintage pinball machines. So I like to have pinball marathons from time to time.
What?
And yeah, these are the fun things I do to decompress. My oldest machine's a 1970 Bally's Camelot, and the newest
Wow.
one is a 94 Bally's Fast Break. And I have
Wow.
everything in between. So yeah, I got about 15 machines.
Wow, that is amazing. How about any arcade like Galaga? That's
Oh, I
like my
love
favorite.
that. Well, Asteroids is incredible as well. I tell you what, I did buy a couple original machines. I got a Mortal Kombat, I got a Killer Instinct, and In the Hunt. But what did I do? I kept the Ultimate Fighter by or Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat with its
yeah.
original, but I switched out the two other machines and I put they call them Pandoras, where you got about 1,000 games. But
Oh,
then I got one at home that has a MAME system in it with about 5,000 games. But the thing is, though, do the people play? They used to. I have an air hockey table. Like 10 years ago, they used to play. The kids really don't play that much these days, but
hmm.
they're downstairs. I collect them. I actually have a ski machine. I got a Nameco Alpine Racer machine, which is
What?
cool. And it's kind of ironic because we're in Costa Rica. There's no snow here. But
Wow.
yeah, because arcades go out of business. And
Yeah.
so I would go on our local Craigslist or Mercado Libre, and about
Uh-huh.
3 hours away in Perez Zeledón, some dude is selling 5 machines. So I
Right?
get my guys, I get a truck, we go out there, come back, and then surprise my wife with new machines. And so,
Wow.
um, but it's a beautiful hobby if you have the room, especially the pinball machines.
Yeah.
And I try to give them games that they can't play online. I mean, virtual pinball is not the same, but it's a
Right.
chance for them to hang out with somebody and do some things. And so,
Right.
um, yeah, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I love collecting. This is a 1961 Ricola Regis behind me. And so jukeboxes
Wow.
and pinball machines are my true passion. And that I love this
I
stuff.
love that. And don't forget about the milkshake.
The milkshake.
Yeah, you have milkshake, right? Like a milkshake machine with your popcorn. I know you have popcorn, but
In the 50s cafe, oh sure, and the hot dog machine and all
yeah,
that stuff, right? Just the
right.
best.
Wow, I love it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have to take my kids and go to the arcade maybe this weekend. That'll be fun. They're still around. I mean, there's a few places here that we can go, but I love it. So your favorite then is what game? Just like your top number one.
Let's go back to the oldest of old schools. I love my asteroids. You
Okay.
know, you got your Centipede and Missile Command. Tron was a great game.
Yeah.
Robotron was a great game. I actually own a 1980 Centauri Phoenix tabletop machine. That's a
Mhm.
good one. But you know,
Wow.
I like the vector games, like the
Okay.
asteroids and the Gravitar and Tempest. Those were
Yeah.
fun. But I tell you what, those old school cabinets and the marquees were gorgeous. How
Yeah.
they used to design those certain machines. Um, But $5 used to try to last a whole Saturday. That was expensive, 25, 50-cent games.
Yeah.
Remember when Dragon's Lair came out? That was like $1. Those were the laser
Yeah.
disc games. It's a fun game. You ever play Chex Hockey? Remember that, where they had the dome and you got the big hockey players that could play? I always loved those
Oh,
games.
I
Um,
think so.
but it was innocent for us. In the
Yeah.
70s and 80s, arcades were innocent. Unless you're at like a bus station, there was a game in the corner your mom wouldn't let you play.
Right.
But next to the cigarette machine. But no, where I grew up at the Willow Grove Mall, we
Mhm.
had what was it called? Like challenges or something like that. And it was fun. I mean, it's where you meet your friends and you got to see all the new games. And it was still innocent. Boys and girls could hang out together, play a game and laugh. And but yeah, I love that stuff. You can't find that down here at all.
Hmm.
At all. I mean, they're gone. These arcades are
Wow.
not. And if you do find something, it's a fighting game I've never heard of before. It's something just moving joysticks. But there's nothing like those old classic machines. Which was
Yeah.
your favorite game that you were mentioning? What was it, Pac-Man?
Oh, I love Pac-Man, but my favorite is Galaga and the Mortal Kombat.
In the Mortal Kombat. Do you remember the brother of Galaga, which was Galaxian, the game that came out prior?
Yeah, I
So,
think.
your
Do my
Galaga, you
research.
got the two
Yeah.
ships together and you're challenging
Yeah.
stages.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Galaxian
Yes,
had the
yes,
one ship,
yes.
but what a beautiful game that
Yeah,
was.
definitely. I have the miniature one. I don't have like the actual arcade, but I have like the mini one
There's
that you can
nothing
put on
wrong
the
with that.
table.
But
I
you have amazing emulators that you can get, or MAME, multiple arcade machine emulator, and that will give you every game that you could ever imagine. And it's just fun going through the library and you're like, wait a second, I remember that. And they'll even show you games from like the 1970s that were just black
wow.
and white, like the driving games or the
Yeah.
gunfighter games and stuff. And it's just it's fun. And why I love those games? It was one button, one joystick. You could just plug and
Yeah.
play and just enjoy yourself. Today, it's like a final exam test to learn how to play these updated games. And so if people ask me about games, I say I'm a retro gamer.
Me too.
And I'm proud of it. I'm not a guy that's on the headset for 20 hours, not showering, eating Doritos all day. No, but if you and I see that Pac-Man machine, we're there, especially
Right.
a Galaga machine. Of
Right.
course we're there.
Yeah, I'll totally sit down with you and we can just do the joystick and the two buttons.
With me with Galaga, what the thing is, you should never do two ships because the second ship's going to die. I
I
always played a
know.
single ship, and you got to learn your patterns of back and forth. And if you can do this, you can easily get, God, well over 100,000 on a game.
Hmm.
Yeah, don't do two ships.
I know.
They want you to do the two ships. Of course they do. And
It's
that
so
thing, you go in the corner and you come on. I mean, please.
it's so tempting.
Of course it is. Well, listen, at the home version all day long, but in the arcade, you're crazy. No way. I'm going to take my time on this game.
Oh my gosh, this is too funny. Oh my goodness. Well, if you ever are back here, right? I just went to a licensing expo in August in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, they had the arcade, like you can literally play. Sony was there, Nintendo, Sega, everybody. Like the shooting game from Sega. Do you remember? I forget what the name was, but it was like I think they turned into zombies or something. But you had
Sega
to
had Afterburner. They were
after.
really
Man, I
famous
think
on that one.
maybe that's what maybe that's what it was. It was addicting. I stood there for about 30 minutes. And then
So
this
much
guy said,
fun.
"Hey, can we play? Can I play?" Sure.
You're like, what? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So licensing expo, they literally have arcades that you want. I mean, that is free to play. Because I was like, do I have to? I didn't have a quarter. Because usually you have to have coins for these
Mhm.
retro games. But anywho,
Listen, if anybody's in Arizona, because when I go visit my mama in Costa, there's a place in Tempe called Starfighters. They're open Friday and Saturday night and Sunday in the afternoon for 4 hours a shot. But I think for like $10, it's all you can play. I'm a pinball guy. They got like over 50 pinball machines, and they have your Galaga. They have all the machines you remember from back. They got Tron.
what?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's just it's awesome. You can't beat it. And it's got
Wow.
everything. And so you remember Paperboy? They even have a
Yeah.
Paperboy machine. I love that
What?
game.
Oh my
You got the little
God.
bike handles and you're throwing papers
Yeah,
and breaking
yeah.
windows and dogs running after you.
I need to go. Okay, I'm gonna put that on my bucket list. Tempe, Arizona. Okay.
Starfighters. Yeah, you're not
Terrifying.
really going to find it. It's like in a weird industrial complex when you show up, like, wait a second, there's a lot of cars in front. And so
I'm
there
gonna
you go.
find
And
it.
that's funny.
I'm writing it down right now. Okay. Tempe, Arizona. Okay, here we go. Okay, got my notes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, are there any favorite spots in Costa Rica that you would recommend?
Absolutely. Let's begin. People love Parque Manuel Antonio, which is a
Mm,
gorgeous beach on the Pacific side. You go further south to Dominical, where you can do some surfing. There's also Playa Ballena, where in late August and early September is when the whales come in. One of the beaches actually looks like a whale's tail, right? And then you can go on the Caribbean side. And one of my favorite beaches is Puerto Viejo, which is right on the border of Panama. It's gorgeous down there. And then you also have Puerto Limon, which is on the Caribbean side as well for the food. Go into also north of that is Tortuguero Beach, where during certain seasons you can see the little babies hatch, little turtles, and go into the ocean. It's a national park. The center of the country, you have Tabacon Resort, which is Lake Arenal. We have the hot springs. It's gorgeous up there. You should go visit that. A little north of that is Rio Celeste. There are some more national parks there. Guanacaste is where the Four Seasons is and all the fancy beaches and resorts. But south of that, in Nicoya, is where they claim people live the longest, they're the happiest, and some of the best surfing in the world with Malpais and those areas as well. And so it's got a little bit of everything for everyone, depending on what you're
wow.
looking for.
Wow. I really want to just go in the rainforest. um, I'm fascinated with frogs, right? I mean,
Oh yeah,
I don't like to touch the frog, but I like to look and
no,
see like the poisonous ones. Well, because
really.
they're
You
pretty,
can go by
right?
yourself on that one. No, I'm only kidding.
They have like the colorful. Well, I guess they're colorful. That's the one that you shouldn't touch
A
because they're
thousand
poisonous.
percent. May I make a suggestion? Yeah, go in the rainforest all you want and stay on the paths, but there are certain areas where they have the snakes, the lizards, and the frogs. These certain, reserves. Go there, check them out. They'll tell you what you do safely. But yeah, I see them, and they're tiny too, and they're exceptionally dangerous. And what
Mm.
happens with your pets if they're outside? That's
Oh,
the thing you have to be extremely concerned with. They'll get too close, they'll get sprayed, they'll try to eat them. And so, especially during the rainy season. But, when they say stay on the paths, like
right,
don't go in the moors like the American Werewolf in London, stay on the paths. And
right.
so, if you're in the rainforest and you're in the national parks, please do not wear flip flops, wear jeans, wear boots if you can, but if not sneakers with jeans,
Okay.
and just, be cool. Look down when you're walking. You don't want to hurt yourself.
Right.
Okay. And just make sure you stop every now and again, make sure you're cool and keep going, because it's not to scare you. It's when people have too much fun, or they're drinking too much, or they're
Oh,
on that quadriciclo or on the horse or zip lining, and since they're in the moment, they go a little crazy, and the next thing you know, mush. So my main thing is enjoy yourself, but you are in a rainforest, and we're getting older and
right.
things heal, you know,
Yeah.
longer. And so just be careful. That's my only suggestion for people.
Wow. I just want to see. I don't. I want to tiptoe and not like do
And
anything
you're
crazy.
cool. I mean, as I mentioned, Manuel Antonio, the national park, you're walking, but when you're on the path, just don't go off the path and go into the rainforest. I mean, it's just
Right.
certain things you don't do. And no, but you'll see your monkeys and butterflies and iguanas and sloths. And it's just you're in a beautiful natural museum and it
Wow.
smells good. Ah, the air is so fresh. And if you're in certain areas of the country and you're way up there and you find a creek, start drinking that water. That's going to be the freshest, purest water you ever have in your life if you find a natural spring. And
Wow.
yeah, it's good stuff. And as I say, it's a very healthy lifestyle here. People are very much into outdoor activities, ecotourism.
Mm. Can you do, I guess, dual citizenship if
Mhm.
one was to venture off to Costa Rica?
And a lot of people here on tourist visas where they come for 6 months and then have to leave for 72 hours. And so legally you can do that too. It, for those expats living here, it just is an excuse to go to Boca de Toro, Panama and go snorkeling, or Rio San Juan to fish in Nicaragua, or, you know,
Wow.
go surfing or something. It's, you know, in Central America, if I may make another suggestion, is to go to Guatemala,
Mm.
because that to me was the favorite. I've been to Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Belize, you name it. But Guatemala, I went to Tikal, and that's where the ruins are. And
Wow.
that was probably one of the most spiritual places I've ever been, besides Guatemala, Antigua, right near the capital. When you go to, you know, the Lago Patin and you're
Mhm.
out there, they let you climb on things and touch things. There's no ropes that say you can't go. And so, and they've only excavated 20% of it. And so when you get there early in the morning and you're on the Jaguar Temple and you're hearing the Congo screaming in the morning while the sun's coming up, it's amazing. And
Wow.
that was an incredible culture, the Mayan culture. And I love Guatemala. So I think that's a suggestion for anybody that wants to visit that country.
Mm. Thank you. Yes, I love the Aztec and Mayan. Very interesting. You see it in the books of the history, but actually being there is a difference, I'm sure. So, speaking about books, are there any favorite books or movies, music genres that you like?
Well, a couple things. I'm going to recommend some speakers, some good homework for your audience. In order to have gotten me where I am today, I watched a lot of television. Okay. And so I gravitated towards certain actors because I thought what they were doing was cool. And so, do you remember the show The A Team back in the 80s?
Yes, yes,
You
of
remember the
course.
face man, Templeton Peck, the excellent actor Dirk Benedict, who was Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica? Well, anyway, I
Yeah,
love that part of the show because Mr. T would break down the door, but Faceman got you in the door. So it's the kind of thing I like. Another show was Remington Steele with Pierce Brosnan and Stephanie
hmm
Zimbalist. And so I would watch this sort of clever rhetoric. He was polished and glib. And then I went real old school. I used to study Basil Rathbone. He used to do Sherlock Holmes back in the 30s and 40s.
Wow.
And that is my favorite speaker of all time. A kind of person where I'd have to pause the video, look up a vocabulary word because it was Queen's English, and then say, wait a second, I can't use that with Annette. She'll think I'm crazy. I go, I don't speak like that, but I understand it. And what a clever joke. Went way over my head till I had to research it for 5 minutes, but that's okay. And so you realize when you size yourself up, there's certain individuals out there that are just so advanced. And my calling was the speech. I don't think, I think that screaming at someone and slander and cursing, that's the lowest form of rhetoric. But like Eminem and 8 Mile, if you can do a great rap battle, you can do some speechless.
Right.
And I decided to study it. So I watched a lot of television and listened to a lot of radio. And I felt like that was my homework. And I kept borrowing certain phrases and attitude and tones. And the
Mhm.
next thing you know, I dress like Remington Steele and speak like the ace, you know, the face man. And that's just how we do.
I love it. Wow. I love NPR news. Like Bloomberg, NPR, more of like a C-SPAN 3 person.
Sure.
Because C-SPAN 3 is the medical community. So that's why. I don't know. I
And
just,
people that speak with conviction, it could be a first time read for them. Even though they're experts in their industry, they could be looking at, but they still read it with such a way where it just comes out so well. And I like things like that. When people put passion behind their words.
Yes. And my favorite person, well, one of my favorite persons is Robert K. Jr. And he's like, that guy, he's just phenomenal. I see everything that, like, he's for the people. And so, I don't know if you've, well, I'm sure that you've watched him and his speeches and his belief system for the community. It's very empowering. I think he's more of a unpopular, how can I explain it? An unpopular speaker because his words are true, even though in a political stance, I feel like he really resonates with the people. That's what I get from him. But anyway, uh, so how do you celebrate your achievements and milestones?
Taking deep breaths, because if you don't, it's just going to pass and you're going to wonder where that milestone went. So you need to slow down every now and again. And a lot of the times it comes when I go back to Philadelphia or Arizona, or if people come visit me, it snaps me out of my circle, my bubble that I have. But really, it's just more about fulfilling those commitments that I gave to myself, learning that second language, finding the right partner, maybe starting a business, buying a pinball machine, of course. And but then guess what? Your priorities and milestones change. They always say, be careful what you wish for, because when you get it, it might not be what you want. And I'm not saying this wasn't great, but also being a CEO is not all it's cracked up to be either. I mean, this is not some sort of after-school special happy movie. Anyone that talks about being a CEO talks about what's behind the closed door in the kitchen and the grind. Everyone loves seeing the end result, but that's 5 minutes of the story. That's the end of the story. In fact, most people don't even like that part of the story. They like the struggle before walking in the ring and getting the belt, because that represents everybody. It's very few that get to actually hit that goal at the end. Most people fail, or just like a Rube Goldberg experiment, which succeeds on the 100th time. It's 99 times you got to do the experiment before you get to 100th time. And how many times do you have to get your grammar wrong before you get it right? Hitting that golf ball, painting that picture, learning your shadowing and distancing, learning how to dance, learning how to sing. I don't know, learning anything. And so it's not really failure. It's just chipping away, getting better, getting closer. And, it's interesting when you get older, it's the maturity, it's knowing your priorities, it's impulse control. And so I guess my milestone, and one of them, I guess, is to be on an amazing podcast like this, meeting someone like yourself. But then you say, well, Richard, you're not getting paid, or this isn't on 1,000 stations and 1 million followers. Well, it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to, if we have one person that watches this, that's fine. But if nobody even watched it, but you and I spent a couple hours together talking and increasing our friendship and our admiration, that's the win. And if anything else ripples from that, then that's the gravy. I'll take it. But your artists that work for a penny on Spotify, people that do podcasts, start businesses, entrepreneurs, you're looking for that pot of gold. You're going to be upset because when you get it, you'll be counting the money in your mansion by yourself and wondering, is this it? It's as I'm telling you before, it's the undercover boss. It's the person that does it on the sly. It's the friend that calls you when no one's around or does the right thing. That's real. And I try to get as many of those things as possible, because that's what actually is my gas. That's because everything else is just, what is this? I'm dressing like this out of respect for you. And the fact in case our mothers show up. And I'm at work right now, but a suit, a suit with cufflinks, really, Richard? Mish, That's not the real me. The real me is, I'm just chilling on the side. But if that's the imagery that needs to be for a CEO of a call center for you to validate it or to relate to it or to think that's what it should be, okay, I gave it to you. You happy now? But when you spend more time with me, you'll realize that this stuff is just it's just window dressing. It really means nothing. It's really this, or even when we don't even see each other, the energy. People should have only seen the emails that we were writing back and forth to each other prior to the podcast, getting so excited, wishing each other well, confirming things. What a buildup.
Yeah.
It was meant to be successful. And so even if we never even did the podcast, but I still got those 5 happy emails from you today, that's awesome. And no one would have ever seen it or even knew about it. And so maybe what you and I are trying to say, you don't need to display what you're doing to the world or to validate it on Facebook with a dinner or a hug or a birthday. If it happens, fine, but don't expect it. And just let things happen naturally. And don't be surprised if people will be proud of you and want to see it that way.
Wow. Well, you have to tell the Chamber of Commerce, okay, that you were the outlet, you were the light, the conduit, as to when there's an increase of people that come to visit Costa Rica because of Richard.
I hope so.
I mean, I'm telling you, you should get a certificate from
You don't
them.
want to scare them away, like at Halloween, you want people to come to your house.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it that you're an advocate for the community, for your people, for the call center. I mean, that's life, right? And so, I'm grateful to even be here tonight, breathing, to even talk with you.
Me too. I feel the same. Ditto.
So, with that being said, how can the audience reach you?
Well, Miss Annette, they can buy a first-class plane ticket and come down and visit me in Costa Rica. But they can also find me on my Facebook fan page. We have about 140,000 local Costa Ricans there. Shoot me an email at co.costaricascallcenter.com. But I can't thank you enough. I had the best time tonight, and I hope I was able to share some nuggets with you and your audience.
Yes, most definitely. Well, be sure to follow Mr. Richard Blank and InTHEknow360.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like, comment. Please feel free to comment anything you would like. Uh, and also view all the episodes on InTHEknow360. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I think I've said enough tonight. Let's continue to support the Unity for Social Justice. Let's free Master Yo and others that need our support, our brothers and sisters that are in need of our support. And this has been a broadcast of showing love full circle between InTHEknow360 and Mr. Richard Blank. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you, and let's keep in touch.
100%. Thank you, Annette.
Salute.